Hey, good morning, America. This is Joran, Oppelt. Um, Usually around this time, 11:11 a.m., my alarm on my phone goes off, and I am prompted to declare something that I am grateful for today. And today, that could be a little more difficult than normal. Half of us have woken up to the unthinkable. We've realized that the filter bubble is a very real thing, that there are some living, breathing people outside of our social network, people that we may have hidden from our feed or attempted to disconnect from, but who exist in a very real way. People who have perspectives and values that vary very differently from our own. They vary on values and positions and policy, and they're just, they don't think like we do. Sometimes these people are out of sight or out of mind, and they're that way because we have woven together this kind of finely curated web of feeds and content streams and sets of dashboards that simply don't include them. This morning, I want to greet my neighbors and the other parents at school with a regular joyful smile and a wave and tell them that it's a great day, just like I normally do. But today, I find myself being concerned about what being so chipper might say about me. I find myself being more self-aware, and also being aware that I really need to display the same attitude and sense of grace that I would expect from anyone else. Emotions are running high this morning, and there are a lot of people claiming that the results of this election are a historic and negative change for our world. But what remains unchanged is the fact that we can't allow ourselves to live in fear. If you are afraid for our future, either for our country or our planet, then this campaign of fear, this attempt to make us identify people as the other, that means that's worked, and that the ill effects of that campaign have succeeded in changing the way you perceive the people around you. But those ill effects will pass. We must remember that all leadership or strategy or policy, everything is temporary. All things transcend and include what came before. All things grow from a compost of previous forms that have died and begun to decay. Evolution is something that we witness. It is happening all around us, all the time. It is happening right now. And what we must focus on is what comes next, the next stage, the next phase. So yes, we do have right now a president who is an egocentric reality television star who has said many outrageous and shocking and offensive things on the record, on tape. But last night, he also said something very cogent and profound. He said that it's time for America to bind the wounds of division and unite as a country. And so the real work, that inner work, that work begins now. This morning, I want you to ask yourself what you can do to heal that division in our country, in your own community. What can you do immediately, today even, to educate and to mobilize and to build bridges and to foster dialogue? Can you gather people together who think and believe differently from one another and help them to understand something new about their neighbor? Can you remove some of the meanness in the world and replace it with more meaning. During the past few months, we've actually done some very heavy lifting as a country and as a culture. We've vomited out our conscious thoughts, most times anonymously and unfiltered. We have addressed some of the elephants in the room, some of them old, some of them new. We've recognized some of the dead fish or resentments that we've been holding on to or carrying around as individuals and as a culture. It's been purgative, it's been cathartic. There's a pile of stuff on the table now. And so to simply scrap that deeply exhaustive and emotional work would be a real shame. We must, one at a time, turn these things over in our hands and continue that important conversation. And that is the path to victory. And we must also walk the path that our values ask of us in a way that many of us aren't used to and haven't had to before. Empathy and trust and nonviolence and pluralism and tolerance and dialogue and faith and love. These things are needed now more than ever. These things need to be lived out in the world. They need to be made real in the next words that you speak, the next sentence that comes out of your mouth, in the next work meeting that you lead or attend, in the next book that you write, or in the next business that you create. We need to become avatars for the passion that we want to see in the world, and 3D printers for the work that we know needs to be done. As a straight white male, I realize and I recognize my privilege in this situation. I'm also the parent of a trans teen. I'm also the president of my local interfaith association and a friend of many ethnic and religious minorities. And so I know how difficult this work can be. I am committed to it, and I ask you to join me. I ask you to double down on the commitment to unfold and evolve and move forward. And so here I am, looking forward this morning, November 9th, 2016. And being here at the Meta Center of St. Petersburg, I also want to make a special mention that this center is open for anyone who's interested in creating some either educational or transformative programs for the community, classes, workshops. It's also available as a place for reflection and quiet contemplation if you are in need of that. So reach out to me directly if you want to continue this conversation in person or make something happen here at the center. So thanks for taking the time to listen. This is Joran, and have a great day, y'all.